Red Flags of Emotional Repression, Part 89, Red Flags Blindness. Let me start by putting this several ways. The inability to see red flags of emotional repression means you are likely in emotional repression. Game don't recognize game. If you were raised by con artists, i.e. people in emotional repression, you're going to have a very hard time recognizing a con. One more, people who are in emotional repression are typically terrified of being brainwashed because the emotional repression is the brainwashing and it doesn't want competition. And so the reason there are 89 parts to my Red Flags of Emotional Repression series is to point to things that you might think are normal and say, guess what? That may not be normal. That form of suffering, which you may not even fully recognize as suffering yet, may be created by buried repressed emotions in the body. Anthony DeMello says, thought and belief can organize the world so well that we're no longer able to see it. Hence, one of the many red flags of emotional repression is blindness to red flags of emotional repression. Here you might be thinking, well great, thanks a lot, Killer Man. You're basically saying what I don't know can hurt me. Yes, it can and does. So what am I supposed to do with that? Great question, me pretending to be a hypothetical citizen. What you can do is this. Begin to identify what upsets you, what triggers you, what causes you suffering. Even the smallest kind, annoyance, frustration, self-doubt, confusion, loneliness. Start to shift your perspective to seeing suffering as something that's unnatural. Unnatural because it's caused by something that at some point you added to reality. Meaning, half of the root of suffering is something that you believe. The other half are the buried, repressed emotions in the body that are keeping that belief feeling true. So, if you're upset, triggered, or suffering about something, that means that you are programmed and emotionally repressed. But the reason you haven't recognized or done anything about it yet is because that suffering, programming, and emotional repression feels like home. It feels safe. And that is what I really want to stress and do over and over again, that your thinking and your believing things is an addiction. You're addicted to your annoyance, your frustration, your self-doubt, your confusion, your loneliness. You're addicted to it because you're using it, meaning you're clinging to all the beliefs and the thoughts that are involved in it in order to stay away from the emotions that are buried and repressed in your body. An anger repressor stays safe in confusion so she doesn't have to get angry. A hurt repressor stays safe in aggression and defensiveness so he doesn't have to know that he's hurt. It's safer to suffer than to feel and express what's true. It's safer to be blind to red flags than it is to start to see them, because then we might have to feel something. If you'd like to start to see them and feel something,